Sitzen.
Sitzen ist leichter.
Sitzen? Ja.
Die haben dasselbe. Okay, so. Jetzt kann ich. Was redet man? Was ist der mit Duba? Wer vierte Sache? Was redet man? Was ist der Neueste? Was ist der?
Wo man Zimoin sagen, was alles wieder.
Ja, darf doch wissen, was an Ihnen ist.
So gehen, was wir lernen, ist äußig mit zu Porto mit einer
Äußig mit.
Ich bin ja nicht Chinuch, aber es ist
Äußig mit Mitzwe. Ist eine Sache, Chinuch und der Zweite. Darf doch wissen, was man will. Salom de Shishir.
Nein, Aschka.
Aschka für Shir. Aschka für Shir. Gut. Wir reden auf Äußig mit Mitzwe, wir reden auf Chinuch. Beide Sachen rühren nur in einem im Zweiten. Every person is making mistakes. We must do mistakes because we are human beings, we are not angels. If we won't make mistakes, we would be angels. So we can fly upstairs there in the sky. But when we are here, we need to know that we are making mistakes. And we need to recognize the mistakes and not to repeat mistakes. But we are doing mistakes because we are limited with our abilities. So we are human beings. A lot of mistakes we are doing not knowing how deep may be this mistake. About education. What means mistakes in education? So here comes something that may be Sofek mitzvah. Sofek mitzvah means כשם שמצווה לא יאמר דובר הנשמע, כך מצווה שלא יאמר דובר שאינו נשמע. This is the Gemara in Eruvin. Times that we say to children to do things that the child, from his point of view, won't do it. Because of some reasons that I will speak about them soon. But there is a situation that I as a father, I as a rabbi, I as an educator, I need to figure out what I'm going to say to the child. How will the child accept it? I need to put off my clothes as a rabbi and put on the clothes of the child and to try to understand what will be the point of view of the child. He's a child. And if it will be too hard of him, if it will be with a misunderstanding by him, I am not allowed to tell him do what I say if he won't be there to understand it. Times. There are times that I say to my child, do what I say even you do not understand. If I see a big danger, my child is playing, and I see that a machine is coming, so I will take my child, I will drag him to the side, even if he says, I don't understand what you do, because I understand. This is when I understand 100% pikuach nefesh. But there are times that we are doing the mistake, we are telling a child to do something, we are not considering what is the point of view of this child. For an example, one of the famous punishments here in Medinas Yisrael, or Yishmoel, I don't know how to call this area here. In Eretz Yisrael, we are making mistakes. One of the famous punishments that a Rebbe is giving to a pupil, and the pupil deserves a punishment. So the punishment is, you should write 500 times this sentence. I won't do it again. Write it 500 times. This is a very famous punishment. It is a punishment. You're taking a child to 8, to 9, to 10, to 11. He is a child, a happy child. He loves to play. He needs to be home and to write 500 times the same sentence. I won't do it again. So 500 times. And if the Rebbe was in a bad mood in these days, so he says 600 times or 700 times. And that's it. The Rebbe said, Aloha leMoshe Messina. Oh. So we have to think about it. If this punishment will bring the child to change his behavior, we have to think about it. We have to punish. Times that we have to punish. But we have to look on the punishment from the point of view of the child. So if you are writing, I won't do it again 500 times, I can promise you, as a very small Rebbe, without Ruach HaKodesh, he will do it again. I promise you. And if you will say he should write it 600 times, I can swear that he will do it again. What you will raise the punishment, he will do it again. No doubt in it. But, Higdilu Lasos, Rebbes that are saying, you will write 500 times one shur of the Gemara. You will write 500 times a posuk. So means to take our holy Torah and to make from it a punishment. So a child may grow with a hateness to the Torah and to the Rebbe because of this very tragic mistake. You wanted to punish the child to educate him, but you have made a big, big mistake. So those are mistakes that are very clear to everybody that thinks about it from the point of view of the child. And if he wants to be honest, a child understands when he needs to get a punishment. He understands. But the punishment must be a punishment that should be an educator, not a punishment that will make your child be mushpal. How do you say mushpal? There's a word. Mushpal.
Put down.
Put down.
Put down.
Humiliate. This is the word. Mushpal. Mushpal. Es ist eine schreckliche Sache, mushpal. To be mushpal is something that is just as a tragedy. So we know today a lot of boys that they would say, I do not love my learning. They are 10, they are 16, they are 18. I dislike learning. I don't love it. My father pushes me, my magid forces me. I am in a yeshiva, I don't love to learn. When they are honest, they would say, I don't love to learn. And we are asking, how can it be? A Jewish child learns Torah. We know that the Torah must be the most best tanug that can be for a Jew. Why does this child dislike his learning? So we would say, something there is wrong in the education. Something there is wrong in the education. Something there didn't take the Gemara and made it should be loved by the boy. It must be loved. If it's not loved, something was wrong in the way. Except if the child is an exception child. We have children that are exceptions. They are not as regular children. But a regular child, it's not known of community what is his IQ. We are not checking up also the IQ of the parent. We are not checking the IQ of the melamed. So not the IQ will say, if he is a normal child, he needs to love the Gemara. If he dislikes the Gemara, somebody failed. Somebody made mistakes. Naturally, we, our children, our grandchildren, they need to love Gemara. Gemara is the most interesting, happy, nicest thing that we have. This is our Torah. Ashreinu, Matov Chelkeinu. It's not just something that we sing. It is something that is true. This is the emes. So if a Jewish child dislikes his learning, somebody made a mistake. And those mistakes, a lot of times, are coming from our attitude, or to punish, or to force, or to do things that are mistaked about education. And the suggestion is to ask, to take advice, and when it comes to a doubt, we are coming to the Sofek mitzvah. Every doubt in Chinuch, don't do alone. If you have a doubt in Chinuch, it is just as you have a doubt of something that you want to eat, and you don't know if it's kosher, if it's treif. Same question. So if you have a piece of meat, and someone tells you, this meat is treif, and somebody else says, this meat is kosher, what would you do? One says treif, one says kosher. What would you do? Don't eat it, or if you're very hungry, phone the Rav, ask. You are not laying on yourself, knowing that you don't know the halachas. You are not so familiar with those halachas. Ask. So education is the same serious question as treif or kosher. So somebody would say, I have a mitzvah to educate my child, so even if it says doubt, sofek mitzvah. Here we are coming to the sofek mitzvah. Sofek mitzvah, Shagasari says, is not doiches a mitzvah. With sofek mitzvah, you are not allowed to be doiches a mitzvah. Doiches a mitzvah means you are pushing away your child mivadai because you're sofek mitzvah. So yotzos choroi be'efseidoi. Hundreds of doubts that are coming in every Jewish house with education. Hundreds of doubts. To go strong, to go soft, to give them presents, not to give them a smile, not to give them, how to punish, how to prize. Doubts, hundreds of doubts. And if you are doing alone, you will make mistakes. And if you will make mistakes and you won't admit in your mistakes, you will make it again and again. And those mistakes, we are paying a very expensive amount for those mistakes. So everybody is talking about today, daily problems about children, boys and girls that are coming to the 16, 18, and they are falling in the side. They fall in the side. So we need to solve those problems. Times that those boys or girls, they have doubts and they are ashamed to talk about their doubts. Times that something happened very horrible. But most of the cases are just mistakes that parents or educators made. This is something that is here in Israel, in Europe, in England, in Antwerp, in France, in the big USA, starting from Lakewood and finishing in Spring Valley. Everything that is moving in our area, Jewish children are growing up, we are doing mistakes. So somebody will ask, where were those mistakes once upon a time? For 200 years ago, for 300 years ago. So the secret is that for 200 years ago, we also had problems with education, no doubt in it. But something have changed. What have changed? One thing. We talked about the watches. This generation is a spoiled generation. We got to be spoiled, and our children and grandchildren are worse in their being spoiled. Because once upon a time, a child would get one candy once a month. He would be the best in his class. He got a prize. The prize was one candy. If you're giving out today for a child a candy, he's throwing it back because he has in pocket 100 better candies than this candy. Not candy, not a toy, nothing is for him something because he's getting it when he's 3 and 4 and 5 to the Afikoimen. He's getting things that we didn't get in all our lives. He's getting it every year. This is how we are educating children, and nothing to do about it. This is the technology that brought us to this. This is our communication, this is our communities. We cannot fight it. We cannot fight it. We have now a situation. Situation says we are spoiled. Our children are very spoiled. And our grandchildren will be very, 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 very spoiled. Fact. Facts of life. You are not going to a war with facts of life. So we need to change things. So somebody tells me, I got from my father heated when I did bad things, so the same that I got from my father, I'm doing to my daughter. And his daughter is 18, and she's in Tel Aviv. She doesn't want to be frum, because she says, my father was cruel to me. And once he thought that I'm not going in an appropriate school, and he gave me such patch that I ran away. So I'm calling this guy, and I say, you have a girl. You are going to lose her. Wait, ask her to forgive you. He says, I got patch from my father. My daughter will get patch from me. So this is his principle. So this principle was so important by him. So today he has 3 children outside. 1 daughter and 2 boys. They are Mechal Shabboses. One went to the military, the other is in Goa. He's not here. He lost his family because he had a principle. I got patch. I will give patch. So what's the answer on this starke Teine? You got patch. Maybe it was a mistake, but it was a generation that acted like it. Not today. Not today. Today, things are changed. This is a fact. I'm asking this human being, this Jew, do you have a refrigerator in your home? He says, yes. And I'm asking him, did your father had a refrigerator? Because here in Jerusalem, refrigerator came just for 50 years ago. 40 years ago. What did he say?
Icebox.
Icebox. No refrigerator. So I'm asking him, why do you have a refrigerator? Why do you have a micro? Your father didn't have. So those technology that we know, they have an influence on the change of our generations. Because once upon a time, the father and the mother need to make a big work just to make the dinner, to clean the chickens, and to cook, and to bake. So it was a big work, and everybody had respect to food. But today, if you have a microgal that is making it in 5 minutes, and somebody is selling a microgal that is making it to a minute, so he will throw out his microgal and buy a new one, because it is making in a minute. What do you have to do in your 4 minutes? You are not doing nothing, you are boring in your life. But this is technology. So we are not investing. So everything in this world came to be not the same. It's a world that doesn't have patience, a world doesn't have time, a world that doesn't want to invest. That's it. We want to be very quick, as Rabban Kotler used to say. Every Jew wants to know Shas, but he wants to do it in one night, and he wants also to sleep in this night. Listen to this. You see this? This is Rabban Kotler from your Lakewood. Everybody wants to know Shas. Ask him, oh, he would want. But it has to be in one night, and he wants to sleep also. So, nobody knows Shas. What do you say? And people are showing me on their watches, so it's a sign that you have to do something. But I'm looking at my watch. This is my watch.
I have a winding watch.
So my watch says, if we want to finish this conversation, I'm not talking about people that are convinced that they are doing right. If you are convinced, I say, Ochi, yehi lecho asher lecho. Okay, you are an angel, you are not making mistakes, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to somebody that understands that it is a doubt. So if you have doubts, even if you are a Rebbe, even if you are a Rebbe 20 years, even if you have a lot of success, if you have a doubt, don't paskin alone. You have to consider it as a sofek isu. It's a big sofek. It is not just sofek isu, it is sofek nefoshes. Because we are judging nefoshes. You have a doubt, as a father, as a mother, as an educator, as a Rebbe, ask, Shuberov Yoetz, think about it. Don't respond on the spot. Ask how to do it, when to do it, how much to do it, why to do it. And if we are doing it as we need to do it, so Ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu Bo Bitruni and Bri Yosef, we are human beings, we are making mistakes, we will learn. we will be more patiently, we will learn, we will have our Torah Chadosho Me'iti Teitze, and hopefully, if we won't make big mistakes, if we will, Im Yirtzeh Hashem, correct our mistakes, we will can, Im Yirtzeh Hashem, with the years, educate our children, as the Rebbeinu Shalom wants. It should be Zera Berach Hashem, Omen Ken Yehi Ratzon. Kol Tov und Furt Gesundheit.